Hi there everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach. Welcome to another one of my album reviews, and we're back to Helloween! I promised after doing Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1 that this one would be, Part 2 would be coming shortly. Man of my word, Part 2 came shortly. At least for you guys as viewers. I literally just uploaded the video for Part 1 a couple days ago. Even though I had recorded it actually quite a while ago, and I fell behind on recording videos now, so this is actually being recorded shortly after I uploaded the last one. So for you guys, it's kind of really close together. For me, it's actually been a while. It's been such a while that I actually kind of don't want to listen to this album anymore. Because I started going back, I went back to work, so I threw Keeper Part 1 and Keeper Part 2 on my MP3 player so I could listen to them while I'm going to and from work. And because I forgot to load anything else on there, and then I took so long to get around to doing this review, I've listened to this album twice a day, on average 4 days a week for the last 2 weeks. So, like 16 times, at least 16 times in a very, because the album length runtime works perfectly for my bus ride basically to and from work. Okay. I have one complaint about this album. Just one complaint about this album, major complaint. When I copied it on from the CD onto my computer, for some reason, when it downloaded the track list, it downloaded it in the wrong order. Or, like all the titles were on the wrong songs. So, for some reason, Save Us was listed as the last song, and then every other song was moved up one, kind of thing. Through the whole order, it confused the hell out of me while I was listening to it, going to and from work. I'm like, this is not the right track for this. Okay, let's get into the tracks. Invitation. This just little 1 minute interlude like they did on the last album. Oh, that's another thing too. I should touch on briefly here. This is part 2. The band wanted to do a double album originally, and the label said, "Hells to the no, we're going to separate them out." Now, double albums were always a big risk for record companies, and they can be a big risk for bands. Some bands can do a double album well, some bands cannot. Now, the bright side is the record company had enough sense to split them up, but not just split them up, space out the release. They released more like what Metallica would do later on with Load and Reload, and if one of my regular viewers, you're chuckling at how I'm circling back to those two albums specifically, considering my reviews and everything like that. Anyways, so this one got released a little bit later. I think as a double album, actually, it would have worked great. And I'm glad they didn't do kind of like a GNR Use Your Illusion thing where they did them basically back to back. Give us your money, But this is record studio greed, because if the band had put it together, and depending on how they had mixed the tracks, it actually could have been really good. But this is what we got. So, moving on. Invitation starts it off just like Initiation did on the other one. They're cute, they're in there, whatever, we move on. Eagles Fly Free is way more of that Maiden mixed with straight up power metal that I talked about previously. When it comes to Helloween, it's always going to come back to Maiden and power metal, because the vocalist definitely has a Bruce Dickinson sounding voice, which is great. But different, not the same, different usages of the voice, but definitely Bruce Dickinson sounding. And Maiden is one of the progenitors of power metal. So that's going to be in here, right? So it just, now, compared to other albums I've already covered, this is the first song where when I'm listening to it, I hear the drums and go, hey, there's something a little bit different in there compared to just, your basic kind of stuff. But, that's it. Moving on to the next track, we got You Always Walk Alone. I do dig on this track. I do dig on the drumming once again. It's variations in drumming, not just your straight eights on the kick drum, which is a wonderful thing. It gets a little boring as the staple of basically all power metal. But, and while that's throughout the entire album, there is definitely a lot more flavor in the fills or even just in different parts of the songs with the drumming, which is nice. Now we get into, this album takes a kind of weird turn for me at this point. The next two tracks, both, the words whimsy, playful, I don't have a word to properly describe the unseriousness, but they're definitely unserious. Compared to normal power metal, you know what I mean? Okay, so Rise and Fall, this is definitely power metal, but it's power metal meets kind of like a whimsy kind of metal, or whimsical metal. I don't know how to describe it better. The energy, once again, in words I'm saying, there's definitely a lot of playful, fun energy to this song, and even a little bit of humor, and it's kind of surprising. This is one of the few songs where the bass has some bass lines that really kind of pop. I go, oh shit, look at that, the bass is playing. I think Rise and Fall, honestly, I kind of hope they play it live. It's a fun song. I look forward to hearing it live if they're going to play it live. But the dynamic really feels off. Like, it's kind of like the darkness, sort of. Or, if maybe a little Spinal Tap, or if Frank Zappa had gone through an 80s metal phase, sadly he didn't. That could have been really cool. But if you had an 80s metal era, that's kind of how I feel Rise and Fall would be. And that idea leads right into the next song, which is Dr. Stein. And I was talking to Tracy about this one, and this one confuses the atomy. And the reason why I say that is this is a fun song. This is one of those songs that would make an amazing killer B-side, like a B-side that everybody would want to hear. Metallica has a cover song that applies to. Metallica doing So What. People love So What when Metallica plays it live. When I saw them on the Load tour, that is literally how they opened up the tour. They come out playing So What, then the house lights drop and turns into Creeping Death. Great way to kick off the whole entire thing. It is just insane. But it's a killer B-side. With this particular song, what it really reminds me of, not musically, just the idea behind it, is Black Bart Blues from Iron Maiden. And Black Bart Blues was the B-side to Can I Play With Madness. Now, if you ask me Black Bart Blues, I like that song way more better. Oh my God, that was horrible. Sorry. I love Black Bart Blues, especially compared to everything off the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son album, which is where Can I Play For Madness came from. So, Can I Play With Madness is a good song, but given a choice between that or Black Bart Blues, guess what I'd rather listen to? So, but that's not a song that Maiden's ever going to play live. Dr. Stein, on the other hand, it is a fan favorite off of one of their biggest albums, and they're going to play it live, and I'm going to look forward to hearing it live. And if they don't play it live, I'm actually going to be really disappointed they don't play it live. But it just sounds so weird on this album. It just, B-side, it does. It really, killer B-side. Okay, so from there, we go to We got that right. Which takes us right back into your standard power metal. This one's almost got a medieval waltzy kind of riff to it. Even though it's running in a standard 4/4, and, you know, waltzes are more of your standard 3/4. At least it's 4/4 for the majority of the song. I think there's a couple spots where it does change out, maybe to 2/4. I'm not 100% sure in there. It's a great album track, though. It really is. And as it goes through, it actually kind of weirdly evolves almost into an Extreme, I mean the band Extreme, kind of song from one of the that belongs on the soundtrack for one of the Bill and Ted movies. It's kind of really interesting the way this song evolves and moves on, but it makes it for a very solid album listening track. That goes into Save Us. Now, from here on out, the next 3 songs all have something very much in common. All 3 songs are solid. Starting even with We Got That Right. Okay, so 4 songs in a row. They're all great, solid album tracks. You know, none of I can't believe it, but Dr. Steen and possibly even Rise and Fall are the 2 best song potentials for what I would have called singles. And yeah, so get to Save Us. Like I was saying, solid album cut, and the core, because of the chorus and that, just the song itself, I've had it stuck in my head more than once after listening to it, and it's been kind of annoying. Good song though. Tells you how good of a song it is when it gets stuck in your head. The thing with this song is, it's one of those songs that is, I can't call it power metal. It's like power rock, power metal. A common sound that happened in that time period, late 80s, early 90s, in that era in there, where, you know, like the Scorpions' Crazy World album is like the perfect example of this kind of sound. And that came after this album, where you've got, you know, you could definitely list the album as a metal album, and the time period it was definitely listed as a metal album, but it's not really a metal album. It's definitely more of a rock. And that's how this song is. It's definitely more of a power rock song than a power metal song. But, you know, we're going to call it power metal rock? Power rock metal? I don't know what the hell. That's how I'm going with this one. That's followed up with March of Time. This one's got a super singable chorus. Super singable, like to the point where I kind of hope they do this one live, because it's just got that great singable chorus. And even the way it's recorded, it's meant to be done live to have that great singable chorus. You can hear it in the production, in the way they sing the chorus. They have the chorus recorded. That goes into I Want Out. And this song is a great 80s power metal song on a multitude of levels, to the point where I actually kind of feel that Bruce Dickinson may have borrowed a little bit for 1 or 2 of his songs off of the Accident of Birth album, which came later on. So it's really interesting to go with the always saying that Helloween sounds like Iron Maiden, to saying that based on chronology, there's Bruce Dickinson songs that sound like Helloween. And there's a couple times on this album I do that, where I go, oh, that sounds like that was a riff off Accident to Birth. But this is also one of the things with this album in particular, and I'm going to get into it because it plays really heavy in the next song, riffs. There's like a freaking million riffs in here, okay? It's this next song, okay? So the title track of what was supposed to be a double album, Keeper of the Seven Keys, all right? This is another 13-minute epic song. Helloween being the 13-minute epic off the first part. And considering it's a double album with 2 such long songs, it's amazing how different those 2 songs are. The difference is Helloween, I really want to see live. Oh my God, I cannot wait to see Helloween live. Now, I believe Keeper of the Seven Keys is one of those songs that they tend to play live nowadays still, but it's not one of those songs I'm honestly looking forward to seeing live, because I have issues with other songs from this time period So this album was released in 88. Clearly it was recorded, they were recording and working on it prior to that. But this album definitely has a flavor that other metal albums, especially US thrash albums, had at that time, where it's riff on top of riff on top of riff on top of riff like they're just slamming riffs in there, like they do on And Justice, the song And Justice for All, Hangar 18 from Megadeth. There's a few other thrash bands and other metal bands in general during that time period. It was gratuitous riffing, you know, like just riff. And yeah, sure, it doesn't sound like they just threw them in together. You know, they actually work within each other. They flow to each other and whatnot. But it really, like the first 7.5 minutes, it really feels like there could have been like possibly 4 different songs in there if the riffs were flushed out a little nicer and whatnot, and not just slam, 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 slam. Now you could also say, well, that's just going with the music because you got the 7 keys, so you got all these different parts layered in there. It's a really proggy kind of song. And you're right. I totally agree with that. It makes sense. But I'm not as much of a fan of it kind of thing. It's kind of to the point where, But then you hit about like the 7-minute marker, and the song just does this drastic slowdown where it slowly does this rebuild again. And when it does the same thing where it's, you know, riff, 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 riff. But this time it's got more of a classical influence kind of vibe to it, way more instead of a metal vibe to it. And the second half works a little better for me with it, and it kind of brings the album to a really nice close that way. But for the most part, this album. If I hadn't listened to it so many times in such a short period, I'd probably really enjoy it a lot more than I do. But given a choice between the first one or the second one, I think I kind of prefer the first one a little better. I actually would like to, if I had been one of the executives at the record company, I probably would have pushed for the double album, especially if they had them all recorded at the same time. I might have pushed for it, and I really might have thought it would have been a really good idea, but I would have mixed it definitely a little differently. And the reason why I say that is I think what I would have done is I actually would have put Keeper of the Seven Keys as the first song after Initiation on the first album, and had Helloween close out the double album as the last song on the second album. Songs in between could be going in a very kind of multitude mixture kind of way in there. That part to me doesn't matter, but I really would have... Keeper of the Seven Keys to me, I definitely feel like it's more of an epic opener than an epic closer. And Helloween is an epic closer, so I don't know. My views, my opinions. I know Helloween fans are going to definitely have a different opinion than me. And to be fair, this is only the 3rd Helloween album I've listened to. You know, I've covered the most recent album. I covered part 1. Now I've covered part 2. I may cover part 3 next. But I need a break from Helloween, so, you know, probably be a few reviews away kind of thing. But anyways, folks, that's it. I'm done. I've rambled on long enough. Let me know what you think. That's what the comment section is for. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell for notifications. There's a link below that takes you to Patreon if you want to throw me some money. Peace, love, take care.